All right. Hello again, Avengers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. The daily vlog number 187. And today, I am just plain exhausted. Like, there's nothing to it. I am just outside of my mind exhausted. I am, every time I say this, something bad happens. So I understand this is a bad thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm feeling a little bit better. Not great. I'm still. Oh man. I've talked to my therapist about this too. Waking up every morning, I feel like I'm about to throw up blood. And what I mean by that is I feel extremely sick to my stomach. Like literally, I wake up and my first gut instinct is to I sleep with a bucket beside my bed because I am so terrified that I'm going to wake up and just immediately uh, vomit. So as soon as I wake up, I feel like I can feel it coming and it never comes. But then at the same time, my stomach hurts so badly, like I feel like I've been stabbed. And this is every morning that this happens. And it will eventually not really go away. The nausea is pretty constant. The stomach pain goes away eventually. And then it comes back and then it goes away again. It's weird. Um, and for anyone thinking that, wow, there must be something serious wrong with you, you should go see a doctor. I have many times. It's all conversion disorder shit. It is all my brain just messing with me. And that's the thing that gets the most frustrating about it is I would love to. First of all, I haven't left my house in 3 years, and before that, the only reason I left my house 3 years ago is because it wasn't my house anymore. We moved, and before that, I think it was like 2 years or something like that that I physically had just not left my house. I barely left my room. Um, so there's that aspect of going to see a doctor. So this is something like that. It's just not something that seems physically possible anymore, or not without an intense amount of pain and suffering. But tack on to that, before I became completely unable to leave my house, I was seeing doctors. For a while, I was seeing doctors like once or twice a week. And it was still really painful for me. I would have seizures on a regular basis on the way to the doctor. Um, and then I would get there and they would perform a bunch of tests, including taking all the blood out of my body. I gave so much blood to these vampires. Uh, and before anyone says anything, nurses are wonderful. Phlebotomists, in particular, are wonderful people. If you've never heard that term, a phlebotomist is a person that specializes in drawing blood and dealing with all that. And the reason that there is an entire job based around being able to take blood is because it's a pain in the ass, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Um, so I'm not saying what any of these people did is bad or anything like that. It's just I gave so much blood, and everything would always come back relatively normal. Like I used to have high cholesterol, so that's not a good thing. And I've had problems with my liver for years. Not problems like it's dying or anything, but I think the medical term is elevated LFTs or something like that, which just means that my liver is working harder than it's supposed to be, which can be symptoms of about like a billion different things. So it's an inconclusive. It just says that, hey, something's going on with your liver. Well, what's going on with the liver? We have no idea. We just know that it's, basically it's asking to see the manager. Your liver's turned into a Karen. I'm sorry. So yeah, I went and I saw doctors constantly. I saw neurologists and psychiatrists and gastrointestinal experts and all this stuff. And what would always result was, well, all of the things that could cause this, you don't have. So it has to be your conversion disorder. And that's always what it would come back to is you don't have cancer, you don't have some kind of gastrointestinal virus, you don't have any kind of disease that would cause all of this discomfort. There's no physical blockage or something. Well, actually, we're not 100% certain about that because just before we moved, they wanted me to have a colonoscopy. And because we were moving like that week, I said, hey, can we wait? Because we're in the middle of a move and I don't do well with change normally. And they said, yeah, sure. Once you feel better, just call up our office and we'll get it scheduled. And that was over 3 years ago. So, yeah, it's really, really frustrating to go and get all these tests done and just pray beyond a shadow of a doubt, hey, just give me a pill, give me something that can give me relief. And the result is always, there's nothing we can do. The problems that you have are physical, like these are real physical problems, but the solutions to them are not pharmaceutical and they're not surgical. And yeah, like I said, I have a therapist. I meet with her every week, and we do everything that we can to improve my living conditions. But I'm really, really fucked up. And I spent 25 years of my life pretending I wasn't and using these really bad maladaptive coping methods. And I eventually just had a nervous breakdown, got hospitalized, and while I was there, the doctor gave me medication that permanently broke me. Like there's no, well, that and then the medication that they used to keep me from dying also caused permanent damage. And so there's just really nothing I can do to stop this. This is my life. And I don't remember when this happened because, again, my brain doesn't work. My memory just doesn't work. But I distinctly remember when I was talking about all the shit that goes wrong with me. I think specifically because it was one of the attempts that I was working on getting my disability. Somebody in charge, I don't know if it was a judge or just one of the Social Security disability specialists or whatever, when I was describing all the things that I had to deal with on a daily basis, they just looked at me and went, that can't be true. And that, for me, that's actually a trigger for my PTSD because here's a fun fact. When someone you're supposed to trust does something horrific to you and they don't want anyone to find out and you're very, very small, one of the extremely common methods of abuse that they use to silence their victims is, well, you can't tell anyone because no one will believe you and they'll think that you're a liar. And that was used to silence me for over 20 years. And the weird part about it is the person that said that to me was in prison for most of the time that silenced me. It is such a powerful thing that you can say to a child. That long after the abusive influence is gone, it still, to this day, I have a hard time talking about it. And so one of my triggers is people calling me a liar. I realize that is not a healthy thing to be a trigger because a lot of people will just randomly say you're lying. But it is what it is. I can't really help it. I can just understand that when I do start freaking out about stuff like that, I understand that it's a trigger and I can deal with it in a slightly better way. But yeah, so I'm describing the different things and that can't be possible. And I start to panic because they've triggered my PTSD. And I go, what do you mean? It's like, well, you've never attempted that which we must not reference on YouTube. I think they call it unaliving yourself now to get around all that stuff. It's like, well, you've never attempted this. Okay, is that a bad thing? Am I supposed to be? Well, if someone was really going through what you're describing, I don't see how they wouldn't try that. And that blew my mind. By the way, if your goal is to turn someone into someone that thinks that unaliving yourself is a fantastic idea, that is probably the greatest way to do it. Tell them that anyone else in your life would decide that the sweet embrace of death is so much better than just being you. That is a fantastic way to ensure that someone starts to reevaluate their life choices. And it felt like such a slap to the face that someone, and this is someone that there was like a gnat or something that's flying around, and it's annoying the hell out of me. But it was something that I keep losing track of it. Like, I'll see it for a second, and then, like, it'll just disappear. I have, like, a blink dog flying around me. This is someone that actually had the ability to choose whether or not I would get the disability assistance that I needed to continue surviving. And they made their decision based on the idea, if I were you, I would no longer be alive. And the fact that you're still alive means that you're a liar. I guess it's indescribable, the feelings that I felt, that I still feel to this day. And again, this is something that I've spent many sessions talking to my therapist about, this idea of, I think a lot of people, when they hear, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't tell you a lot of the shit that I have to deal with, because first of all, I don't think it's healthy for me. Second of all, it sure as hell ain't healthy for you. But I know a lot of people, when I describe just some of the stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis, they get kind of repulsed, and without thinking, people go, wow, I don't understand how you can live like that. And I 100% understand that idea, because on my worst day, I would not want half of what I have to deal with to be foisted on my worst enemy. You know, the person that I hate more than anything else in the world, I would not want them to live like this. So I 100% understand people going, I can't understand how you live like that. But the thing that I've kind of come to is, my life is shit. But it's my life, not anyone else's. And I'm allowed to live a shit life. Like, it's mine and I'm allowed to live it. And that one idea was so kind of profound to me, especially with the kind of increase in things like medically assisted death and what I would refer to as euthanasia, but we're not allowed to call it that. You're seeing places where people going, I could not understand someone living through this, so why don't we just end their suffering? And everyone kind of has this point where they go, if the suffering gets to this level, then it's just better to end it than to continue living in agony. And on one hand, that kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, you are robbing someone of their life. It's a shitty life, but it's still their life. And that's a big deal. You know? So, and this is not me knocking anyone that has made that decision or anything like that. Like, that's a whole nother thing that I will probably never make a video on because it is very, very close and personal to me. But yeah, my life is shit. My life is probably one of the worst lives I could think of living. But it's mine. And it's the only one I've got. And so if my choice is between not having a life and living this hellscape, bring on the hellscape. That's how it works for me. And yeah, the amount of people that seem offended with that choice is remarkable. Anyway, that's going to be all for me today. I don't know why this was the subject I decided to talk about today, but it feels good to go out and just to say it every so often. And just as a clarification, anyone that thinks they have the solution to my problems, you don't. I sincerely appreciate that you want to help. It is a normal, natural human response to see someone in pain and want to help them. Again, I have seen an entire team of fantastic doctors. Their response has been, it sucks to be you. The likelihood of you having the cure to this when all these other doctors don't is very, very minute. I appreciate that you want to help. You're not. So, please, no suggestions for alternate treatments or anything like that. It's just frustrating. Anyway, that's all for me today. See you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.